We love having him. John McClain, Hall of Fame writer, Gallery Sports, 610 in Houston, and much more with us on Tuesdays, 365 Sports. So, John, give us the background. Jack Easterby, he's out. I saw you put up a tweet. I guess it was over the weekend. Listen, let's not sugarcoat this. He was fired. What was the story behind this, and was this a matter of time?
I wrote a column on gallerysports.com, which does not have a paywall, in which I detailed everything I knew about the situation. Easterby has his power and influence as the executive vice president of football operation diminished after he did everything he could to get Josh McCown hired, and he couldn't do it, and Lovie Smith got promoted. Lovie took him off the sideline, didn't want him down there where he'd been during games for 3 years. And he just kind of faded into the background. I said before the start of the season, I thought it'd be his last season. He would leave, go back to South Carolina with several million, and that's what happened. I didn't know it would be this soon. Timing of the bye week is interesting. People are all wondering, did he do something that precipitated this, or was it an accumulation of things that he had done in the last 3.5 years? And I kind of think it was an accumulation, because in training camp, the McNairs, specifically Cal McNair and his wife Hannah, they were at camp every day. They did a lot of time talking to the media, doing events. They were just much more out front than they've been. And the more out front they were, the farther into the background he was. So it was a happy day here, set off rejoicing at NRG Stadium that he was fired. It's like Bill O'Brien got fired again. People are so happy.
What was true about him and what was myth? What grew into the myth of Jack Easterby that fans hated so much?
Well, the myth was that he influenced personnel. He did not. Bill O'Brien had personnel control when he was the coach and GM, and then Nick Caserio has it in his contract. He has a final say, but people couldn't get over the fact that Easterby had the influence he did. Somehow he did not figure into the personnel decisions, but he did not. Anybody knows how they run around here knows nobody told Bill O'Brien what to do, including the McNairs. And then Caserio has it in his contract. He has a final say over everything involving personnel. Lovie Smith controls the game day roster. So everything just about, I tell you the truth, of all the things I know or have heard about Easterby, I can't remember one that I found out that was not untrue. And that's one reason he did so many things, little things like passing out rosters at OTAs with no numbers on them. And we just blasted him for that because he tried that one time with the Patriots. And then all kind of things he did with mess with the media last year when he knew nothing about media relations, and it didn't come under him anyway. And he did that behind the scenes in other departments. He got out of his lane and tried to tell people what to do when he knew nothing about their responsibility. So he's gone. It's good riddance. People are happy.
John, the Texans, fresh off the open week, now travel to Las Vegas to go see that beautiful Allegiant Stadium and take on the Raiders. What are your impressions so far of Josh McDaniels and company?
Oh, gosh, Craig, they are 1-4, and their 4 losses have been by 7, 1, 3, and 2 points. And the Texans, in fact, they've lost one game by more than 7. That was the Chargers by 10 when they pulled within 3 in the fourth quarter, needed to make a stop to get the ball back, and they couldn't do it. And I think the Raiders will break out after their bye week. Both these teams are coming off byes, and I think the Raiders will win this game. Josh Jacobs, their running back, he's in a contract year. It's amazing how many backs, starting with Saquon Barkley, are in a contract year, and they're healthy, and they're off to great starts. Whether they can sustain it remains to be seen, and Jacobs is one of those. His fifth-year option was not picked up, and, of course, he's playing like he was insulted, and he's looking for a big payday from another organization.
What are your thoughts about Jim Irsay and what he said about Daniel Snyder? And is this kind of just a ticking time bomb, a matter of time, or do you think Snyder somehow figures this out and doesn't get ousted?
I think, number one, he's like Jerry Jones. All the dirt's already out there, so what could Snyder have on that? And a lot of people think Snyder doesn't have dirt, that he just leaked that so it would scare people. He does not want to sell. It takes a 3/4 majority to get him to sell. He's going to file suits. The owners do not want to air their dirty laundry. They also don't want to have to open the books. Remember, they couldn't get the trial in St. Louis moved out of St. Louis and try to get a fair judge. So they had to pay almost $1 billion to St. Louis. And in this case, Snyder will take them all on. He'll do everything he can to embarrass anybody. And he could sell it, for the my goodness, it's a great franchise. If he sold it, they would get a new stadium in the district immediately. People like David Smoke would be turning somersaults. And I don't think they can make him do it without a fight. And it would be ugly and nasty.
John, that's one of the things I wonder about, though. Like, he's starting to mess up the money train a little bit for them. I mean, it's probably a blip on the radar, but they can't get a new stadium. And FedEx Field's a dump. And all these different things are going, and he's affecting the Shield. So occasionally, maybe more owners like Jim Irsay will start popping out of the woodwork. But I can't imagine that he is just going to sell, like you said.
Paul, remember, it takes 24. And there's stories that he's been lobbying certain owners to make sure he had enough to where they couldn't force him to sell. And that franchise, there was one story, remember, that he was not reporting all the income from games, underreporting tickets, and that's taking money from the owners. Now, it's a pimple on an elephant's butt, but still, they don't like people holding out on them when it comes to money. And I can't wait to see how this plays out, because if the Broncos sold for what they sold for, can you imagine what a team in Washington, D.C. with a new stadium coming would be worth? But he's already got billions. He's already got a monster yacht. I mean, there's no reason for him to sell. But boy, it's been nothing but negativity with that franchise since he bought them 23 years ago.
John, how much of a believer are you in Bailey Zappi?
Bailey Zappi, pride of Victoria, spent 4 years at Houston Baptist before he transferred to Western Kentucky and threw 60 touchdown passes. Bill Belichick's a great coach, and they're doing a tremendous job with him. They'll go back to Mac Jones. They didn't draft him in the first round for no reason. But Bailey Zappi means they don't have any more need for Brian Hoyer, and they feel pretty darn good for their backup quarterback situation. He has a rating of triple digits in each of his first two starts.
And Tyquan Thornton getting in the end zone a couple of times for the pass. Good to see him healthy.
Yeah.
Yep.
And he got to show his speed, and everybody's happy for him. And I knowing the Patriots the way they do, they've never had a great receiver who could run. Randy Moss is the best receiver they've had. He came at the end of his career. But Tyquan Thornton could be onto something big there.
John, can you fix your Baylor Bears?
Boy, I wish I could. I couldn't believe that defense. Can't believe that special teams have hurt them the last two games. I was sorry that Shapen went out, but boy, I was talking to Santana Dotson, one of the greatest Baylor players in history, and a couple of other former NFL players, and has been here with Texas Gridiron Legends last night. And several of them watched the game because it was on Thursday. They're football addicts like we are, and they were all so impressed with Drones. Nobody held that one bad throw because he's young, but they liked his arm, they liked his mobility, and they were sure talking him up. And something I'm wondering is Shapen will be back, Drones will be back. Who's the Dripping Springs quarterback? What's his name?
Austin Novosad.
Novosad. Is he coming in December?
Probably. I don't know if that's been decided yet.
Probably, but I'm not official on that.
Most likely.
So they're going to have three really good quarterbacks. And in this day and age, if there's a third, he's gone. And I'd hate to see that. But, man, oh, man, it would be kind of an embarrassment of riches. And I hope they don't leave. But if one did, I hope he fares better than Gary Bannon, who just suffered a season-ending injury.
Yeah. I sent a note to the SID because we're trying to figure out, does he have a year left? Because usually it seems like everybody does. just to make sure his eligibility because of the COVID year and all the things that are just kind of confusing. John,
I think that Bohannon, if his career's over at college, he should seriously think about trying out for the NFL as a receiver. Because early in his career, he had no accuracy whatsoever. And I thought at the time, man, that guy would make a good receiver. And he's not going to be an NFL quarterback. We know that.
John, the football, we know the NFL's unbeaten when it comes to ratings. They have so much. They're just a monster. Is there any chance the football that a lot of close games, but it's kind of ugly? Is it because there's just not good footballers or what? What's the deal there?
I'll tell you the theory going around, and I read this before the season started, and man, oh man, has it been true. More and more defenses are playing zone. They're playing too deep coverage. Don't want to give up big pass plays. Make the offense run the ball. Make them work the ball down the field with short passes. Don't give up the big play, because those long drives, the more plays you have, the more chance you have of screwing up. And if you have long drives, they take up time. And so if both teams are doing this, then it's inevitable that scoring's going to be down. And the NFL may say it doesn't mind it because all the games are close. They do mind it. They know fans want to see scoring. They have legislated so many rules to help the offense. And it wouldn't change anything now. But if this happens, say, this year and it stays down, because when the weather gets bad, scoring usually doesn't go up. It goes down. And so if it happened 2 years in a row, they'll find other rules to change.
Thank you, John. We appreciate it.
Thank you, guys. Sick 'em.
John McClain, GallerySports.com, Houston 610, and Hall of Fame columnist with us on Tuesdays on mainly everything NFL. Paul Catalano.